This video was digitized from a photo collection I received from, and I believe his name is Herbert Henry Warner, and he was a gunner's mate third class in the U.S. Coast Guard. And this photo collection centers around his time aboard USS Theenim AKA-63, this vessel right here, in 1945 and 1946. So just at the end or just after World War II. And USS Theenim AKA-63 was a Andromeda-class attack cargo ship, and this photo collection centers around her time underway between 27 December 1945, when she left San Francisco for the Philippines, and then returning back to San Francisco, and then taking the Theenim to Norfolk, Virginia, through the Panama Canal, where it was decommissioned in May of 1946. And just a really nice collection of photographs detailing that last cruise to the Pacific, and then taking Theenim around from California to Norfolk, where she was decommissioned. And yeah, I'm going to hop in here every now and then and just explain some of these photos. They weren't very well marked. There was only a few that were marked. And I actually got the name of the photo collection from the name tag on his uniform there at the beginning. And yeah, so I'll just hop in here when there needs some clarification on these photos. And what really drew me to this photo collection was it was manned by Coast Guardsmen. This U.S. Navy ship was fully manned by Coast Guard personnel, and she was in commission from December 1944 till, I guess I mentioned earlier, May 1946. And she saw some serious action in World War II in her short lifespan, because she participated in the invasion of Okinawa in April of 1945. And in that invasion, she was attacked numerous times by Japanese aircraft and sustained 3 wounded crew members on the 6th of April. And that would be Ensign Charles Bradford, Ensign James Kennedy, and Seaman First Class Richard C. Babstock. And as I mentioned earlier, she was a Andromeda-class attack cargo ship, and she would have had a complement of 400 men aboard. And at the time that this picture collection was captured, her commanding officer was Captain Gordon A. Littlefield, and he took command on the 18th of October 1945, and previous to him, the captain was Earl King Rhodes, and he would have been the captain during the invasion of Okinawa. And I believe we're starting off here at Coast Guard Base Alameda, California, where he took his boot camp. And these pictures look like the barracks and buildings at Alameda. So this would have been probably early to mid 1945. And I believe these are a couple of photos of the owner of this collection, Herbert Henry Warner. And I believe this is the Blunt's Reef lightship, which would have been stationed off of San Francisco. Just a great look at this in 1945, and yeah, they would have been pretty prominent in the area at the time, taking the place of lighthouses. And now we're getting into the part of the photo collection where they're leaving San Francisco and heading to the Philippines. And this would have been in late December. They left on the 27th of December 1945. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Herbert Warner was a GM3, a gunner's mate, third class. So you'll see a lot of pictures of the armament on here. And this is their main 5-inch 38 caliber gun. They also had 4 twin 40 millimeter guns. And you'll see one here coming up in the next picture. And what I think is also interesting with this next picture is you'll see that it has on the bottom, there's buoys and to mark the channels. And I don't think you'd see this in a normal Navy, attack cargo ship, but since this is manned by Coast Guard personnel, it was probably a collateral duty to also man these aids to navigation. And you'll see them working a buoy in a couple of photos towards the end here. And I'm just laying these photos out the way that they were in his photo album, because they seem like they were in chronological order. And he had this photo just marked January 1946, so we're getting into 1946 here, and this looks like they're cleaning one of the twin 40 millimeter guns. And now we're into mid to late January 1946, because they said they arrived at Subic Bay, the Philippines, on the 17th of January, and looks like we're there now. And these two Navy destroyers are, the inboard is USS Mac DE-358, and she was a John C. Butler class destroyer escort, commissioned in August 1944, and then decommissioned in 1946, and then outboard with looks like it's laundry day or airing out the bedding is a USS George E. Davis DE-357, and she was also a John C. Butler class destroyer escort, commissioned in August of 1944 and decommissioned in August of 1946. And this appears to be a line crossing ceremony, and since it's after the Philippines, they would have already crossed the date line in the Golden Dragon ceremony. This would be the shellback or the equator crossing, since they were operating in the area of the Philippine Islands in southward. So yeah, I would say this is a shellback equator crossing ceremony. And now we're into February of 1946, and he had These pictures marked Subic Bay, Philippines, as they're unloading cargo. I believe I can make out the hull number 21 on this aircraft carrier, which would be USS Boxer, CV-21. And she was an Essex-class aircraft carrier in commission from April 1945 to December 1969. And since this is February 1946 timeframe, this would probably be one of her first cruises. And this is USS Bingham APA-225, and she was a Haskell-class attack transport in commission from December 1944 to June 1946. And it looks like I can make out the hull number 20 on this aircraft carrier, and that would be USS Bennington, CV-20, and she was another Essex-class aircraft carrier in commission from 1944 to 1946, and then from 1952 to 1970. And those planes look pretty big for her. It looks like she's probably just transporting them. They look like they're bigger land-based aircraft, so probably just transporting them either to or from the United States. Looks like I can make out hull number 166 there on the bigger inboard vessel, and that'd be USS Cabell AKA-166, and she was a Alamosa class cargo ship in commission from April 1945 to July 1946. And here are those buoy pictures I had mentioned earlier. Looks like she's getting ready to do some aids to navigation work, which would be typical Coast Guard function. And Theenim left the Philippines on the 19th of March, 1946, and steamed back to San Francisco, getting back there sometime in late March, early April. And then she steamed to Norfolk, Virginia, going through the Panama Canal, which you can see this series of pictures here. And then she arrived in Norfolk, Virginia, where she was decommissioned. And just a great collection of pictures here of her going through the Panama Canal. And after her service with the U.S. Navy, Theenim was renamed the American Inventor in 1948, and she carried on with the merchant service under the flag of the United States Lines, and then renamed Pioneer Surf in 1958, then renamed the Australian Surf in 1965, operating under the flag of the Faroe Lines, and then she was scrapped in 1970. And I'll leave you with a final picture here of who I believe this photo collection belonged to, Herbert Henry Warner, and we have to thank him for capturing this bit of history. And I try to upload military and patriotic videos to my site here every other day. And if you're interested in a good read, check out my books at www.edsemler.com.